Well, that's been a Saturday afternoon. A Saturday afternoon where Lewis Koumas has scored and Lyndon Dykes has scored. Fair enough. But Blues went to Oxford. Posh Oxford. You can tell it's posh Oxford. You go to the Blues ground, you worry your car's going to get stripped down by, let's just say, an individual outside. You go to the Oxford ground, you wonder if your posh car's going to get hit by a shot from Iwata when he's lining one up. You go to the Blues ground, the billboards, personal accident lawyers, criminal lawyers. You go to Oxford, I wrote this down, they are for carp fishing and ethically sourced coconuts. Ethically sourced coconuts advertised at a football ground. You go to Oxford, you get 4 shots on target, you get no goals. Blues, basically 1 shot on target, 2 goals. I've enjoyed this Saturday. My name is Simon Brew. A very warm welcome to Thoughts on the Blues. Hello, and a very warm and very happy welcome to Thoughts on the Blues. Cheers, everybody. I'm treating myself early. This has been the most stress-free Saturday afternoon watching a Blues match I have had in quite a long time, save for 3 or 4 minutes. I'll come to that shortly. And it's come at the end of a week where, well, after the home game with Stoke that finished like a 1-1 where we could have won that really, we've been busy in the transfer market again. So, I mean, Alphonse Stamsted went just as the Stoke game started. Now, Alfie Chang has gone to Walsall permanently, wishing him the very best of luck. Bailey Peacock-Farrell, right, has gone to Blackpool on a permanent. And I went on the Facebook comments, and there's a Blackpool fan saying, well, it's a good job we got him permanent, because otherwise Birmingham might recall him. All due respect, Birmingham weren't going to recall him. Wishing Bailey Peacock-Farrell the very best of luck at his new continuing club. And yes, I think it's probably best for all of us that we move on. Elsewhere in the world of transfers, I mean, Lewis Koumas has gone and signed for Hull and scored. I mean, fair dues to him. He's gotten the winner from what I can see. And we've signed Carlos Vicente. And a statement signing, really. And as much as I'm thrilled for Dykes and Koumas getting their goals elsewhere, I look at our team sheet with August Priske, or Friske, as he was nicknamed last week, not me. And I look at Carlos Vicente and I look at Ibrahim Osman, and I'm not too worried with where I think we might have upgraded there. I have a residual concern before we get into the game itself, about the gap in our transfer activity, because we have made 2 of the signings, you would have to say, are fairly... If they'd have happened in the summer, you'd be putting predictions in there. It's just like, oh, this is going to soar them up the table. Vicente and Priske. And so I don't think we've signed those players, as much as we're all trying to temper expectation there. I don't think we had a meeting with their agents and said, well, what we're going to do is valiantly battle to 10th in the league this season, and then we'll have a go next season. I don't think you get players like that with that kind of pitch. I think there's a feeling, but they're wisely not saying it this time, that the Championship is so erratic this season. Case in point, some Coventry fans are asking for Frank Lampard to be replaced. Hello? The Championship is so erratic, I just think they're shutting their traps and thinking, we're going to give this a go. Hence, a 15-player turnaround in this transfer window. It's a summer transfer window in January. 5 in, 10 out, and still with a gap. And this is the bit that's causing me, and other people have picked this up, I'm not unique here, other people have noted that we look now suddenly really quite light in defence. It's nice to see Brightside Samuel back today. Didn't do much wrong. And the absence of Jack Robinson for a period of time is a worry. We seem to be hoping that Lee Buchanan and or Ethan Laird will come back fit enough to make a telling contribution. But also in the game that I'm going to talk about, Tomoki Iwata, our makeshift right back, who's turned into a good right back, has gone off clutching his side. Cue Darren Carter on commentary for Blues TV and Blues Radio, whatever it is. And just can you diagnose what that is? Says the commentator. Carter says, well, looks like he's taken a knock to me. It's like, all right, great. Yeah, I think you might be right there. So we look like we sent Cashin back, who's scored a cracking goal at Blackburn, just not for Blackburn. And the noise seems to be that there isn't another one coming in, or certainly if there is, they're keeping it close to their chest, which I'm absolutely fine with. I'm all for transfer dealings being done behind closed doors, and I find out when they're holding a shirt and doing the press conference, and the Blues admin is doing one of their like social media videos to tease it all. I'm good with all of that. However, transfer window shuts on Monday. I wouldn't be surprised to see an 11th exit. I think it's likely to be Willem Willemsen is likely to go, not in the squad today. And I would like to see defensive cover. Now, there is a thing amongst Blues fans that always seem to want to sign are players who used to play for us, that whenever one of them comes up, it's just like, oh, wouldn't it be good to get him back? Case in point, Che Adams at the start of the window. Now, I've just watched Ben Davies have a decent game for Oxford, and I'd imagine it's about to start again. We'll wait and see. If we are, oh God, I can't even believe I'm having this chat. If we are going to have a punt, and we're putting us, it's the hope, we're putting ourselves in a position where we could at least have a punt. It ain't going to work if we've not got a defensive reinforcement there, in my view. I know nothing, right? I just sit here in this tatty room dangling scarves from up there. You don't even want to see what's in that. So the shelves fell on me this week. So the whole thing, if I turn the camera, it's just a disaster. Instead, tell you what, focus on that while I just talk and try and distract you and forget I've told you all the crap that's going on behind. I should also warn you that not only am I having that, I had an amazing onion bhaji this afternoon. That may take effect throughout the course of this recording, but I'm really happy. So I've got no intention of editing. We're just going with the flow here because, we're great away from home. Did you all get the memo? Where's this come from? What's that? Away at Cambridge, we won. Away at Swansea, we drew. Now it's we're four away games unbeaten. We won 3 of the buggers. What's happening in this league? Frank Lampard out, Blues winning away. Albion, by God, did you see? Albion, what was it, half an hour into the game? Blues fans are singing at Oxford, down with the baggies. I'm sort of not surprised. This league is going completely mad. Teams we've beaten 4-0 are going that way. It's just like, the thing now, right? People go on like social media and stuff like that, and they get some AI thing to predict the league table. Now, I hate AI at the best of times, right? But it's all rubbish. It's all nonsense. If find me the AI thing that would have predicted Lewis Koumas would go on loan to another team and score the winner in his first game, and you show me that AI thing, and I will call you a liar. A liar. There's no AI that can predict that. And congratulations to Lewis Koumas. I'm really chuffed for him. That's 2 goals for him. This month? In fairness. So anyway, this one couldn't get to. So the joys of Blues TV, which always massively entertains me because the commentary has to be really one-sided. I actually think the commentator and co-commentator are good. I watched one game, the last game I watched on Sky Plus or whatever it was. It looked like they were either watching on a feed like a million miles away that had a 2-minute break on it and was all this disruption and disturb. I don't know. I am both entertained and informed by Blues TV commentary, not least a couple of things. Number one, they've only got 2 or 3 stats, and so they have to recycle them. Like Oxford United are having the new manager bounce, 3 games unbeaten. So all right, let's have a look at that. What, 2 of them were 0-0, you say, at home? Okay, so they've not scored. Okay, making them sound like Real Madrid. If you're an Oxford fan, by the way, this isn't for you. This is a Blues thing. You're very welcome. I wish you well for the rest of the season. I'm very grateful for what you've donated to Birmingham City. It's much appreciated, but I'm not really going to be talking Oxfordy stuff. However, let's just get down to the game. We line up away at Oxford, and again, if any Oxford fans have snuck through, we thought, the 1-0 at Blues earlier in the season were rubbish, and Oxford could have snatched a draw at the end. It's a rubbish game, really boring, but we got the points. This time we We're going with, oh God, the optimism. The optimism. Interesting new signings. And the team sheet comes through. There's the change. Tommy Doyle out, John Solis in. Or Solis? Should I go Solis? I think that's how they pronounce it. So, John Solis in. And the most obvious change I think most of us would have made. I think Tommy Doyle's look threatening and keeps looking like he's going to score from corners, but defensively vulnerable. I think Peck and Doyle as a combination isn't as solid as Peck and Iwata, although it's slightly more creative. Now, Peck and Solis, now that's interesting. Ibrahim Osman kept his place. August Priske on the bench, and then Vicente on the bench as well. And looking at the bench and just thinking, 3 games ago, it was full of like under 21 players who we wouldn't even put on the pitch against a League Two team. Now we've got that lot. It's just like, all right, fair dues. John still Solis short on the defensive side, but that notwithstanding. So, team announced. Blues TV tries to big it all up by showing you pictures of the players getting off the coach and like, great. I mean, there's not much you can say about that. What insight can I give you from that? August Priske wears glasses. Don't knock it, folks. One of us is a better striker than the other. I'll let you guess which is which. And the team sheet looked pretty much what I'd imagine most of us would have picked. The bench looked much better. And that's the turnaround, really. Our shopping spree, and by the sounds of it, it might not be done. Tom Wagner said, a week or two last week, we're looking at 2 more. Well, we've got 1 of them, so do we assume there's another? I don't think it'll be the number 10 now. I hope it's the defensive reinforcement. We will see. So coming off the coach. And then we're at the Castle Stadium. Now, I love stadiums like this. I mean, I love it because it looks like a movie drive-in for a start. It doesn't look like where you watch it. I mean, the car park to the side is glorious. Now, my eldest, the first game I took him to see was Accrington Stanley versus Bury. Who are they? And they looked at the pitch to say, do we go on there and play now? Because it was just so low-key. And, I mean, you could just walk onto the pitch and... I mean, the irony was no one even attempted to do it. No one wanted to. And it was lovely. And seeing Oxford's ground, I mean, it's a club, some degree of transition. I accept that. I've got no quarrel with Oxford United as a team. And, I'd far rather a team of a bunch of posh people from Oxford put on Oxford shirts than Manchester City shirts. So, I wouldn't say they filled this stadium. They've got 3 stands and a car park. I found the car park incredibly entertaining, not least because there are cars moving out of it right throughout the match. And also, I'm not sure I put it behind the goal. If you're going to put a car park somewhere, unless you've got particularly good strikers who, let's just say, aren't taking any Iwata shot earlier in the game, that ain't where I'm putting the car park. Anyway, they're recycling the stats. So, 3 games unbeaten, all of that stuff, throwing it all in. New manager bounce, we're told. New manager. And God, we've got a lot of those coming up. Leicester next, they're supposed to be having a new manager bounce. Albion are supposed to be having a new manager bounce. Yeah, it's not quite panning out that way. But, anyway, give me a ground like Oxford's. Just brilliant. The stat that kept coming up as well, last time we played Oxford away, competitively, we won 7-1. None of us thought we were going to win 7-1. None of us. But I'd also say, as much as we went into it with some degree of optimism, I don't think many of us would have felt we'd have such a controlled away performance, primarily because we've been schooled out of them. Last season, this was week in, week out. We were spoiled. This season, it's the Preston away where we play ugly and get a win. It's Sheffield Wednesday where we make them look great for ages until we get a goal. It's Blackburn away where we rob them, basically, at the end. To actually have an away performance where, even Cambridge away, we give them a chance at the end, 10 minutes, we'll give you a couple of goals. This, to have an almost start to finish control performance, it's new, isn't it? It's just like, I've not seen this since League One. Even towards the end of League One, we weren't seeing it that much. So, yeah. Anyway, it nearly went wrong early. All that said, in that, the first 2-3 minutes, who among us could have argued if Oxford were 1 or 2 goals up? And they clearly decided that Kai Wagner was our weak point. Now, I sort of get why. Just like after his debut against Coventry, I think he's had a slightly bumpy time getting used to stuff. And with Cochrane now out for months, we need him to be on his game. And so they were targeting him and they were getting a bit of joy, and at first Osman has a bit of a fluff and they come through and they cut in and they have a go there. Then on 2 minutes, a sharp cross across the box. There's no one there. Could have been a second one. And then they press us. And I'm just like, I'm writing it all down. I was almost crying. And what I wrote on my sheet of paper, why are Oxford so far down the league if they're playing like this? And then I concluded at the end, it's because they can't shoot for shit. And I think ultimately that was it. I thought the first 3 minutes was like our away. Oh, God, what was it? Southampton away, where we were terrible, but for 5 minutes we were really good. Or was it Watford? Oh, there's one of the. We're going through that run of our away performances where the first 5 minutes we competed. Yeah, we turned this around and got hammered. Oxford sort of did that to us. And Darren Carter on the commentary going, might be one of those afternoons for Blues. Just like, Darren, come on. However, slight differences started to, major differences really started to kick in. A big one for me was John Solis, who, if you overlook a couple of weak passes, I think that's all in his negative. That's the entirety of his negative column. He just looked solid, didn't he? He looked cultured. He was reading the game. Even when the teams came out, it's just like if you watch Blues team coming out earlier in the season, fairly short team against fairly big team. Then John Solis walks out. It's just like, okay, now we've got a bit more physicality back there. And it sort of unlocked Paik a little bit. Paik Sung-ho, who I thought had his best game in a while. I'm not as down on Paik as lots of you are. I do read the comments. I know that some people think he should be dropped. I think he is, and I know he's regarded as an inverted commas Chris Davies favourite. I think he's a Chris Davies favourite because he rarely drops below 6, 7 out of 10, and he does as he's told. The problem being what he's told isn't always what we want him to be told. There was actually a bit in the first half, thinking about it, where he's in our own half, halfway inside our own half. There's a big space in front of him, and he's just sort of walking into it, and you're thinking, okay, I can see what you're doing. You're scanning the pitch. You're looking for the pass. But if that was Clara would be driving into it. And Clara is brilliant at this. We talk about this every now and then, that he gets the ball at his feet. He just wants to drive like a battering ram up the park. That Clint Eastwood film, The Gauntlet, or something like that. He just wants to smack his way up there, and probably does. And Peck doesn't. He's not as physical a player, although he's more physical than if you look at some of his challenges this season. I think he's sometimes given credit for. But there wasn't quite the urgency there to get the ball forward that fast. And this was the thing that Chris Davies keeps saying in his interviews. It's just like copy, paste. We're not getting forward fast, blah, blah, blah. They did something about it in this game. And the fact that I'm pulling that moment out was it's actually the exception to the norm. Usually I'm clutching at whatever straw I can find. Let's try and find something positive. Cheers. This helps, I find. Just take a second to yourself. For anyone watching, for safety of advertising and stuff like that, I paid for it myself. It's obviously alcohol-free. I wouldn't dream of leading any of you astray. But we basically settled in by about 10 minutes in. Oxford had that run, and as much as the commentators were bigging them up and stuff like that, I don't think we were fully gelling at first. We've had a lot of performances where we fly out the traps. I think it took us about 10, 15 minutes to find ourselves. First to nullify Oxford, and then start to realise we could play some really good football. And in the midst of this game, we played some really good football. Now, there is an obvious argument that Oxford are not Real Madrid, between you and me. Don't tell anyone, but they're not. However, I'm a firm believer in you can only play who's in front of you. And we made Sheffield Wednesday look really good. We made Cambridge look really good. I don't think we made Oxford look really good. I think they had a couple of flashes and a couple of moments. I thought Ben Davies was really good for them as well. But the bits where we were electric, actually. And after we had a couple of, it was down the left, wasn't it? So we had a couple of balls over the top that Osman ran onto that just looked like our radar was slightly off. Not in a Dion Sanderson pass kind of way, but just slightly off. And so Osman just can't quite get to the byline. The pitch looked quite slippy as well. But then he started to get somewhere. And he was my man of the match. It was between him and Solis for man of the match for me. But Osman, my criticism against Stoke was he was going down really easily and trying to get fouls and stuff like that. Here, I think there's one point, about 20 minutes in, where he hit the deck and was rolling around. He was doing the beating the floor thing. It's like my heart is bursting out of my chest. Then gets up. I think that's the only time he did that. Other than that, right consistently throughout the game, right the way till the point where he was substituted, a couple of minutes from the end, he was driving forward. He was great to watch. Really fast as well. There was a moment in the game where he basically ran the length of the field to track back at enormous pace and managed to do it. But, I mean, his ball control's really good, and he does the Ethan Laird thing, and God, we've been missing this, of you get to the byline, you're not just trying to put in an aimless cross, you're trying to cut in and do the low cross across the box, which teams don't like. How many goals and penalties did Ethan Laird get us by doing that? Osman is faster and more powerful, and I mean, was a joy to watch. It will be interesting to see him against teams top half of the Championship to see if it still clicks. But I was sent statistics when he signed of how he's got no assists or whatever this season. I don't know how, because I thought he looked great today. There's the moment where he had the shot where he basically clattered it into the post. I'll come to that, I'm sure. But I thought he was really, really, really good, and was exciting to watch, and was everything we've not had down that left wing since Damari Gray's injury. And the thought that we've got Gray to come back as well, it's really salivating, really. I mean, as an attacking force, we've got something here, provided they can all stay fit. Anyway, we scored. We scored a goal. And so we scored on 23 minutes as well. We're growing into it. We get this free kick. Now, ordinarily, Doyle would have taken this. Peck takes the free kick, does exactly the right thing, smacks it hard into the danger area. And it's almost like an inverse of Stoke's goal last week. It just goes off one of their players who's got no idea it's about to hit them. In this case, was it Pert Harris, who had been causing us all sorts of trouble. But fair dues to him, scored us a goal. Much, much, much appreciated. And we go 1-0 up. So this is the bit, though, that we've had this a few times this season. Home to Charlton really sticks out. Home to Stoke last week really sticks out, where we get the first goal and we don't get the second, and we've paid a price for that. And so here, not least because I remember Oxford nearly nicking that equaliser at St Andrews at Knighthead Park. And here, it's just like, it felt like if we don't get the second goal, we're going to be back in the dollar. Now, a couple of things were in our favour here. Firstly, Osman, not only did he have their defender on toast, got him booked as well. In fact, got two of their players booked. And after that, just confidence just erupted, just ran at them, caused them all sorts of trouble. A couple of times he just got it on the byline, on the touchline in the second half as well. You're thinking he's just going to do the passing back and sideways. He just turns it and pegs it up the pitch. I mean, it's like Howard Gale. It's like Robert Hopkins. People who wanted to go forward. And, oh, God. Then, I mean, you have the moment where, Stansfield nearly scores just a minute or two after we get the goal. Really, I mean, he's clearly really keen to score, Stano. And he looked really cheesed off, actually, when he came off. But that's easy to read something into, so I'm not going to. Instead, two moments in this. There was one moment about halfway through the first half, after we'd taken the lead, where he took a shot where ordinarily you'd think maybe someone else should have had that. But he just looked, his appetite to score a goal looked sky high. Then the one where he goes through, was it the second half? Where, I mean, appreciate his touch took him slightly away. He squares it for Osman to have a go, and Osman bashes it into the post. You're just like, Stansfield with a tiny bit more confidence would have just taken the shot, and he didn't. I'm just like, oh. After we got the goal, we sort of did the right thing. That we went for control over adventure anyway for much of the rest of the first half. We were still probing. There was the comedy bit for me was when Clara put a cross into the box for Iwata to head, and I wrote down it's like the BFG cross into one of the borrowers. It's just the wrong way round, that is. But then lots of little bits of really nice football. Dux was fairly anonymous in the first half, but occasionally would just have this majestic touch. He would then also pass to Oxford and nearly put Oxford through. But I mean, most of the time the action was up one particular end. I was more looking at just like, there's less threat to the goal here, but some of the car parking in that car park is just disastrous. There's some people in there. Cars taking up a space and a half. Doesn't that get on your norks? Just like who's reverse parking in there? Genuinely, if you hopefully they'll put this on the highlights reel, which I've not seen. I know this is an instant reaction to the game. Some of the car parking is appalling. You're going to be on the telly. At least make an effort. Parallel parking. Do they not do it in Oxford? I don't know. It was about 10 minutes to go till half time when I realised as well, Priske and Vicente are warming up. It's just like, holy Christ. It's just like, we're 1-0 up. We're on top of this. We're controlling the game. And then we can bring those two on. This is good. I like this way round. I think it was 10 minutes from time as well that for the first time this season, I think, the chant "Down with the Baggies" came out from the Blues end. I think at that point, Albion were 2-0 down to Portsmouth, but good God. And then they were just like, there was a moment where, there were a couple of times we did this, a move just involving quick, zippy passes, not in the rainbow sense. Remember zippy from anyway. Quick zippy passes. There was one that involved like Iwata, Solis, Dux, Osman, I think in there as well. That was the one where Iwata was just trying to hit a Jaguar or something like that. But we were just moving faster. We looked fairly confident. There was another one when Newman put the ball to Roberts to Stansfield and we get a corner out of it. It just moves really fast. I do wonder if Patrick Roberts is going to be the new target of our let's just say more negative brethren, just because it wasn't a demonstrative performance of him today. There was nothing showy. He wasn't, he only had one or two bits where he was threatening the goal. He had one block shot, wasn't putting in deadly crosses, but his work rate was tremendous again. And the fact that you had Osman on one wing where we were getting a lot more, I mean the defence down Oxford's right looked a lot weaker than its left. It made sense to go that way. I thought Roberts put in a really good but really quiet performance. It wasn't the kind of good performance that like shines out or anything like that. It's just one where I'd imagine his teammates in the dressing room say, yeah, I noticed you did that, even if that lot out there did and the people in the cars. Sorry, I'm really taken with the cars. Oxford didn't really get close to us. That there was, a deflected shot at Beadle like a few minutes from half time, but Beadle just looked really confident today. He didn't punch at anything. A couple of times he came out, claimed the ball. The defence looked at him just like, yeah, okay, you're in charge of that. That's better. That's how it should be. There was a moment as well, just a minute or two before half time, where Dux does a reverse ball that looks like it's going to put Stansfield in, that it's cut out, but he's got the confidence to try it. And we've got a player making the run behind. Go back to Bristol City. Right, Bristol City was November or something like that. So not actually that far away. It feels years. Where we just kept going 2/3 up the pitch, but weren't really running into the last third. We had runners going in a lot here. I mean, it was noticeable. Okay, sometimes we're playing long ball, which apparently now is trendy. It's just like the thing you used to be maligned for a couple of seasons ago. Now, hoof it, great. Oh, do that again, right? We haven't even got Dykes up there anymore. But we were attacking them in a couple of different ways, causing problems. They weren't really coping with us, but we hadn't got the second goal. And we got to half-time, 1 goal up, legitimately, with no Birmingham City player having a shot on target. What a stat that is. I mean, I'll take it. I would also say we'd had lots of shots off target. We looked threatening. We looked a different team. We looked like we had the control we're having in games in League One last season. All right, I know Oxford are down there, but contrast it with the Sheffield Wednesday game. This was a lot different. I did think going into the second half, we need a goal. I mean, if I didn't tell you that, then the commentators were, need a goal. I mean, we clearly needed a second goal. Otherwise, we were going to have what we politely call the wobble. And Osman nearly got his chance, like a minute into the second half, nearly got through, but just like, I think it was only, in fact, it was a minute or two into the second half, wasn't it, where Stano went through and instead of shooting did the square ball. That could have killed the game at that point and made the second half thoroughly boring, which is what I was looking for. I was after a boring, non-stressful Saturday afternoon where, I mean, the earliest I saw a car leave the car park, I wrote it down, was on like 49 minutes. I saw a car driving out, just in case you're wondering. My favourite comedy moment then was Placheta comes off the bench for Oxford. And the commentator said, has he got a point to prove against Birmingham City? Has he got a point to prove? He only played like 3-4 games, then he was injured. Yeah, he's got a bloody point to prove. Prove you can piss in walk for a start. Prove you can get onto a football pitch and play. I know he's like done well against us. Now he's fit. I don't wish him like ill will or anything like that. But has he got a point to prove against Blues? How many of us remember a game that he played in? I vaguely remember one. He looked quite good till he got injured. Anyway, Roberts had an effort, like 5-10 minutes of the second half. Blocked. Solis then, I've noticed this a couple of times, tries to find the rebound. And he did this on his debut as well. He was just fishing around, looking for the scraps, looking for the block shot, coming just in case it came to him, he could have another go. He did, and the shot was blocked. But he's looking for it. You know, I mean, it shouldn't be a radical thing, but put Willemsen in there, and were we getting the same thing? I've talked about Willemsen before. I was a big fan of him in his first 3-4 months. After the injury, not the same player. Wish him the best. He's clearly going to move on and not be a part of our future. No quarrel with that, but the physicality and just like the attacking follow-up that he brought right when he started with us, we might have someone who can do that a bit better here. Substitutes then. It was on, 57, 58 minutes we started making the changes. No, it was about the hour, wasn't it? Priske comes on for Stansfield. And Stansfield, a lot's been made of him not scoring a goal. But, you know, A, he came close. B, he worked his arse off again. C, he now gets a week to prepare for home to Leicester. 3 games in a week coming up, remember? That should be fun. Roberts comes off for Vicente. Slightly unlucky, Roberts, but then this is what having a squad does, isn't it? It's just like, there's that person who can come on now. There's competition for places. This might be good. The worry of Iwata going down on, 65 minutes, but then seeing Bright Asai Samuel come on and Bright Asai Samuel play pretty decently. I don't think he's had a really good game for us since the summer, since the first couple of weeks really. Apparently he's had a good African Cup of Nations. Great. If he's back and playing well, that's music to my ears. I thought he looked pretty decent today. Excellent. Then we scored. One hell of a goal. I like Vicente. I wrote a rude word actually when we got the goal because Vicente's back heel. Did Osman start it off as well? Again, I'm not seeing the replay, but Vicente's back heel to Dux and Dux's finish. Oh, it's porn, isn't it? It's just get it in my veins. Dux hadn't had a brilliant game, but we've had strikers who have played better than him and not scored. One of them got off the coach and not onto the pitch. But Dux has got 7 goals for us now. He has become our most potent attacking threat over the last few weeks. And he hits a sweet shot, doesn't he? I mean, it wasn't a million miles away from the shot he hit against Cambridge, where he just took one look at the goals, just like, oh yeah, that's the empty bit. Why don't I know what I'll do. I'll put the ball in the empty bit rather than when all the players are. Doesn't half work, that. Beautiful second goal. 2-0. Osman have been causing them all sorts of problems to that point as well. And then a minute or two later, Vicente cuts through again, smashes the ball. He just wants to get a cross in quickly. I'm talking as if I've invented the wheel of sliced bread here. We got a winger who wants to get a cross in, smashes the ball across the box. Obviously, none of our strikers are anticipating that, but their keeper basically has to save it, has to parry it out. He causes a problem. It's brilliant. And Vicente just looks really smart. Stansfield, I've sold you short. There's a bit where the ball came to him on the wing, wasn't there? And he just does this most delightful flick. A few weeks ago, that ball's going back. Now, because of the flick, we're advancing forward again. Oh, it was joyous. Do you know what, Stano? This one's for you. For that flick. It's nothing to do with the fact that I would like some of this alcohol-free beverage. Bad for your kids. Oh, that's terrible. None of you try. Honestly, if any of you got any of that stuff, send it to me. I'll look after it for you. It's fun. Oxford has started to come back at us a little bit, but it was never the most convincing, was it? They looked fairly toothless. toothless. I'm more toothless than a toothless person. They looked fairly toothless. And we were still, even when we were 2-0 up, A, looking in control, B, moving the ball around fast. Now, we had a couple of sloppy moments. It's worth noting that. I think Peck in particular had one where he gave the ball away. We'd had a few things like that. But I don't know, is it a mindset thing? I don't know. But the push to recover from a mistake looked... I don't know whether it was just as simple as it was more effective, but there seemed to be this drive and this determination that they weren't actually going to score. There was one point where, I mean, Oxford looked like they'd put the ball over the top, didn't they? Strikers running through. Wagner gets in. And he was second place to it, gets in, gets the head, gets the ball back to Beadle. Beadle actually as well, let's talk about him for a second, because he's had a bit, I mean, he's coming for his critics this season. But there was a moment, a few minutes from time, where he's basically not had to do much all game, and then he's called in to make a save. And it was, I think their winger got the right side of Solis. It's about the one time the bloke was out-muscled, gets the ball over, a prodded shot. Beadle gets down fast to save it. That bit's good. But the crucial bit, and if you look at how he was positioned, it's like, it's not the most natural place where he put it. He pushes it to the side rather than back out. As a result, there's no rebound for him. And we've got a clean sheet. And okay, they come at us again. I think they had one or two other little fairly tame efforts, corner or something like that. They just didn't look like scoring. Yeah, the one person who did was August Priske, who, like a minute or two left, goes one-on-one, gets the shot on target, hits it low to the keeper side. Keeper saves it, but got the shot on target. No, and hopefully it's going to click for him and we won't be playing Kyogo games and waiting a long time to work out if he has a trademark goal celebration. It's worth noting, actually, in the Blues TV commentary, they noted he picked up a knock during the week. Welcome to Blues. Big new signing. You got an injury. So that may have been why he didn't start. Don't know. But I don't think there's many complaints with the lineup. Don't think there's many complaints with the performance. I'm certainly not complaining about a 2-0 win away from home, nor am I getting as carried away as I might say. I'm just happy because we won and I didn't have to worry. Tell you, it's absolutely crap for numbers on these videos, though, when we have a comfortable win. But I'd rather have the comfortable win than fame, fortune and riches and stuff like that. Oh God, I'll take it. I'll take it after December. The thought that I'd be looking at like performance like this and a 2-0 away wins. Oh, Santa, it's been too late, but sod it. In fact, can you imagine if we'd have said in December, what I want is two good 2-0 away wins and goals for Kumas and Dykes. We'd have all gone, yes, we got it, folks. Hey, not quite in the way we thought. Not getting carried away. Oxford weren't a great team today. I thought they looked better when they were at St Andrews at Knighthead Park. They're in 23rd place. On 27 points, and you can see why. I thought for five minutes really they looked decent, and then they were just other teams aren't going to be as bullied as easily as them. However, I come back to you can only play who is in front of you, and we've made worse teams than Oxford look better. This was, sod it, shall I go for cliche corner? Shall I do it? This was a professional performance. No, but it was more than that, wasn't it? It showed sparks of promise. Vicente, Osman, we got outlets. We get the ball forward and it doesn't instantly come back because we've got players who want to go forward. And, I hope that the Iwata knock is a very, very minor one, because we've got a hell of a week coming up. Starting next Saturday, 3 home games in like 8 days, 1 in the FA Cup, obviously, but Leicester and West Brom, local derbies are an anomaly, right? But the Leicester we're due to play, they've had a player sent off today as well, the Leicester we're due to play don't look as strong as the Leicester from earlier in the season. They're awaiting a points deduction unless they've got Man City's lawyers as well. And then West Brom, I mean, who knows? I mean, that's a whole bizarre situation, but they've got their own people talking about that. I'm just looking at that. It's just like they have shot themselves in the foot. May it continue for a few more weeks. The interesting thing is that Oxford, we've played a team who were supposed to just recently change manager, supposed to have a new manager bounce. Same with Leicester, same with Albion. It's not quite working out as planned. And there is a path in front of us here for I'm not predicting we'll do it, but you have to realistically look at it and think we should be looking for 2 wins. And if we get 2 wins, and it is an enormous if, because God, I sat through the Charlton game, right? It's an enormous if. But if we get 2 wins, those results would put us within touching distance. I'm not going to say the rest of the words out loud, but I come back to when those players were signed, do you honestly think they were pitched 10th place in the Championship? I don't. I think we've got, first of all, we've got an interesting couple of days. Will the funds go? It's not a question of funds, really, is it? It's a question of will we fit within finance regulations, and can we find just some defensive backup who doesn't score own goals for us or for the opposition on our behalf. If we can find someone like that, I think that might be gold dust. Look at the difference, Ben Davies. I'm not suggesting getting him, don't worry. Look at the difference he made last season to our back line. Look at the difference. That is what a good defensive signing could do. Even Grant Hanley, I'm not suggesting him, but it was interesting. Last season we went for steel at the back. We weren't scoring loads of goals. We reinforced the back. I think we have to reinforce the back. Further up the pitch, I cannot wait to see this Blues team again. It looks lively. It looks interesting. It looks good. It looks good. It looks like we could win games. And I've said it before, it's the hope that kills you. But this has been a very, very, very bumpy season. A very good next 10 days could give us a juicy chance. A juicy chance. Even if we have to have no shots on target and 1 goal. However we do it. I'm going to stop saying all this out loud now because I'm going to sample more of these delightful alcohol-free beverages and savour the fact that we're still 5 points away from 6th place, but now we are 13 points away from the relegation zone. I've said all season we ain't going down. I'm not quite confident enough yet to say we might go up. Should we just enjoy this day, see what the next one brings? Keep right on.